documents that leaked out, one of the things that came out that was very, very interesting, and a lot of PlayStation fanboys were using this as sort of a aha gotcha moment, which I don't really understand. I don't understand it, but basically Microsoft came out and said that Sony has more exclusive games that are better quality than its own, which you can just look and see that that's a reality, hence why Microsoft wants to buy these studios and buy these companies and put out higher quality games. Now, that's not to say that stuff that's coming out isn't going to be high quality. Obviously like the Starfields, the next Doom, or Wolfenstein, or Elder Scrolls, or Fallout, or whatever, those can all be great quality, but the fact is when you're going off of quality and things like that, Sony is a good factor, and this is why competition is such a great thing. And I don't have any problem whatsoever with Microsoft saying this. Like, people were tweeting this to me like crazy, like, oh look, Microsoft admits it. Well, no shit, right? Like, they just released God of War Ragnarok, likely to be a Game of the Year runner-up, or maybe winner. In my opinion, it should be. But obviously Microsoft has work to do there in the game space as far as quality, and so for them to recognize this and say this, I think is huge, especially given the facts that we see. So I do want to get into this. It should be a fun video, and I'm sure everybody's going to have a little something to say on it. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Crap Gamer, and this is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with yet another video. Thanks for checking it out. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please leave a like on the video, as I'm looking to get 100 likes on all of these. It's a very small goal, but still a goal nonetheless. Microsoft now has admitted that Sony has more exclusive games that are of better quality than its own. The statement comes in documents pertaining to Microsoft's acquisition of Activision and Blizzard. Now, this is very interesting because a lot of people, like I said, are trying to use this as like a finger wagging moment, like, aha! In Microsoft's response to the CMA's issue statement, it claimed the proposed merger is pro-competitive due to Sony's standing as a dominant platform holder. Which, again, don't get me started, because it's funny, because Sony's like, if Microsoft gets Activision, they'd be the number one, and then they would raise prices of games and consoles, which literally, as the number one company, Sony raised prices of consoles and games. You can't make it up, folks. In addition to being the dominant console provider, Sony is also a powerful game publisher. According to Microsoft's response, Sony is roughly equivalent in size to Activision and nearly double the size of Microsoft's game publishing business. Sony's exclusive first-party franchises include God of War, The Last of Us, and the recently acquired Destiny 2, and they're all described as iconic. There were over 280 first and third-party titles on PlayStation in 2021, nearly 5 times as many as Xbox. Later in the document, to prove the merger would have no anti-competitive effect, Microsoft states Sony has more exclusive games than Microsoft, many of which are higher quality. Both Sony and Nintendo's exclusive first-party games rank among the best-selling in Europe and worldwide, according to them. Current Sony exclusive content includes prominent first-party titles such as The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and Spider-Man. It also suggests that Sony has entered into arrangements with third-party publishers which require the exclusion of Xbox from the set of platforms these publishers can distribute their games on. This includes Final Fantasy VII Remake, Bloodborne, Final Fantasy XVI, and the Silent Hill 2 remake as examples. It also claimed that console exclusives account for a higher percentage of global game sales for PlayStation than Xbox, though specific figures had been removed or redacted. It suggested that Nintendo, for proportions, would be even higher due to the importance of Nintendo's exclusive first-party portfolio. It is implausible that Sony, the leading console with more than 2-to-1 lead, would be foreclosed as a result of not having access to a single franchise, according to this document referring specifically to Call of Duty. Microsoft additionally comments on Nintendo's exclusive games, claiming it offers a broader range of mature content than Xbox. The CMA has mischaracterized the Nintendo Switch as being predominantly for families. Such as characterizations neglect the fact that more mature adult games are available on the Switch and are actively marketed, including on Switch's YouTube channel, according to Microsoft as well. Nintendo's use of innovation should not be detraction from the fact that it's offering a console experience that competes with Xbox and Sony, and has been able to successfully do so without Call of Duty on its platform, despite previous Nintendo consoles having Call of Duty content. Last month, Microsoft's financial results showed that Game Pass subscription service had missed some growth targets due to a predominant lack of exclusives, widely seen as the big reason. So Sony has also refused to add exclusive to PlayStation Plus Day 1, and I've kind of gone over it. I'm sort of on the fence. I start to believe that Sony rearranged their PlayStation Plus tiers just simply to, appear like this. I read that in an article earlier, and I'm starting to believe that, because if you think about what they did, was what did they really change with what they did? Okay, so if you were a person who was into PlayStation Now, you paid $60 a year and got PlayStation Now titles that you could download and play, or you could stream them and play, whatever. Now you have to pay double that and get the main tier of the PlayStation Plus Basic or whatever, and you have to basically pay $120 a year to be able to access what you were doing before. And they're not adding anything day one. Even if they don't want to add their first party games in there day one, what's wrong with trying to get like some of the indies or some of the smaller stuff in there day one? Like, I don't understand why they couldn't do that. They could definitely afford to do that the way that Microsoft does. So them trying to come across as like, hey, we're so humble, and we're so broke, and we can't do that, and we can't afford to do it, we're the good guys, and all this kind of stuff. They're really trying to come across as that way, and to be quite frank with you, it's kind of embarrassing, because it really just goes to show that, to be honest with you, these regulators don't really know anything about gaming, and the fact that the regulators were asking for regular gamers' input, I think, is very telling to that. And now we start to see why, because Sony is just frankly out there lying, and it's really unfortunate to see them kind of go this way, because like some of the respect that I had for them, kind of out the door. Listen, obviously Sony has had the better quality games. This is not a shock. It's not a surprise. If you look at it, it's not to say that Microsoft hasn't had quality stuff. I feel like Microsoft has the more quality racing game with Horizon and Motorsport. But clearly, what's competing with God of War and Last of Us and that kind of stuff? That really, Microsoft doesn't have anything on that level right yet. But, that stuff can come, hence why they're trying so actively to get these different companies under the Xbox brand. And, I hope it does come soon. But it is super telling that Sony really is entering into these agreements and feels like they should be able to keep games off of Xbox, and yet they feel like Microsoft shouldn't be able to do the same, regardless of whether it's buying the company or buying the IP or buying the studio. It doesn't really matter. Doing it is doing it. Like Sony's using what's in their means, which to do this, and Microsoft doesn't really have those. Microsoft has more money, obviously, but they don't have the kind of in that Sony has with all this. So it's been a very interesting type of situation to see this come about. I've always felt that there's never been one franchise that that honestly was so big that if it wasn't on one console or the other, that it would destroy it. God of War, for example, huge, sells great for Sony. It's not on Xbox or Nintendo, but those consoles will continue to thrive and exist, right? And I've used this one before as well. Roblox, huge. I think that game itself is worth as much as the whole Activision Blizzard is, and yet it's not on PlayStation, and PlayStation does just fine. So, miss me with all that nonsense that PlayStation can't compete or whatever, because I think it's bullshit. Let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thank you for watching. Crap Gamer out.